everybody, and welcome back to the Drafthouse. My name is Joel.
My name is Hugh.
And today, we are doing the Drafthouse, Joel and Hugh, top 100 of all time.
All time. Okay, so let's go over some rules of how we made our top 100. So, for my list, I did use Pub Meeple.
Right.
I did screw it up a couple times.
I did the same thing. So if you're looking for a ranking engine, we've used it a couple times now. Pubmeeple.com gives you a place to input, anything you'd want to put on a list, and then you just sit there and fight it out back and forth. Would you like to do A or B? And then eventually, once you've done enough of these things, it'll generate a list for you. That's how we've made our top 100. We've done this multiple times. This is the first one that'll actually be available.
Right. And it'll draw right off of BGG, so you can as long as you've rated the game on BGG, you can go through and download your whole list on BGG. Now, for me, that was thousands of games. I had to cut it down to everything I gave a 7.0 to, and then it was about 4,000 clicks on Pub Meeple to get to my top 100. But then I had to go through, and what I did is I got rid of anything that was a one-play game, which was a legacy game or an exit game. I also took some games that I absolutely love off the list that are they a board game tabletop thing? So I eliminated Crokinole, which is underneath this lovely table here.
Always
there's a Crokinole table,
just in case.
Crokinole board right under here. And I took out Tumble and Dice, and a couple others that were like that. Were more almost like parlor games instead of, board games, tabletop games. I also took out anything that was a CGC.
Or CCG.
Yeah, CCG.
Right.
Took out anything that was like a collectible card game.
Right.
And then I took out anything that was a... there was one more that I zapped out of my list. I can't remember what it is, though.
Okay, well, I also got rid of any CCGs. My thought being that anything that I've bought for the game, it's not necessarily going to be the same thing that you're looking at. So this top 100 is kind of a recommendation list.
Yeah. Because your top 100 is your top 100.
Right. There's things I know that are on here that are flawed. Doesn't matter to me. I like them.
Here's the thing. BGG, number 4 game of all time is Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle isn't on my list. So no CCGs, just to make sure that we're talking about the same thing when we're talking to the audience. I also took out sort of a generic... board games like Boulder Dash and Scattergories myself, just because those are all great games. You probably have a bunch of them lying around. Most of them are fun. Not Monopoly. Get out of here. But I do love a good game of Clue, but it did not make my list.
Yeah, but I left those off of there on purpose. Yeah. And the other thing about my list is basically the top 100 for the day that I made my list. There are games that I've played once or twice that I haven't played in a long time, that if I was making this is a definitive top 100 list, this would sort of have to be on there. But they're so long ago that I don't even know if I could explain them properly, and I don't think a game that I can't talk about should be on the list of the top 100.
Right.
So shout out to Orleans, but spoilers, you're not making the list, because I haven't played you in 2.5 years, and I played it twice, 2 days in a row, and it's a great game, and I recognize that it probably should be on a list, but it's not going to be here today.
Don't worry, Orleans, you made my list.
So with that being said, we should probably start with the things that did make it on our list. You want to kick this off?
Yeah, okay. So, let's do number 100.
Number 100.
Number 100 on my list is really high on the BGG top 100. I think it's number 3 currently. Number 100 for me is Terraforming Mars.
Okay.
Terraforming Mars is a card selection, hand management. Every game's different because every single card in the game is different. At this point, there's so many expansions. There's about, I don't know how many cards in the game, but the stack is like this. When you have to shuffle it, it's like...
It's very hard to start the game with a specific strategy and work towards that, because if the cards don't show up early enough for you to really get it kickstart, you have to be pretty fluid with how you build in that game.
And again, I really like that game. It does get a lot of demerit points marked off for me because all the people I know that play the game have gone out and bedazzled their game to make it better. Because the quality of the components in the main box, they were not so good.
I remember many chipped cubes starting in that game.
And again, indented board.
Yes, always.
Need indent everybody out there, everybody making a game. If you have a game where you have to put little tiny pieces all over your little player mat, make indented boards.
You will find... I would assume my top 20 and your top 20 filled with games with indented boards because they are worth it every time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my number 100 is going to be Star Realms. Also very similar to Hero Realms. You might like that version better. They're two practically identical games. One is a sci-fi theme, one is a fantasy theme. I like the sci-fi one just a little bit better. It's a deck builder where you're coming out of a shared pool in the middle. But most deck builders you're playing sort of by yourself. This one you're playing against opponents.
Right.
Basically the person sitting across from you. So your objective is to build a deck to fight their deck as they're building it on their end. I didn't put any of their other games. They have a couple similar games: Star Realms,
Epic,
Hero Realms, Epic. They've even got a new game that's sort of a deck builder with an actual board and a bunch of add-on stuff. But the one for me out of all of those,
Sorcerer?
Yeah, the one for me currently out of all of those that is the best is Star Realms.
Now, I haven't played the Star Realms. Do they now have a hero character storyline? Because I enjoyed that part of Hero Realms.
I believe there's hero-like stuff in one of the expansions. I do not think they have the storyline like...
that was my favorite part of either system.
That part of Hero Realms was really good. You can buy a separate box that has a story and sets up encounters for you. Give me that in Star Realms, because I'll play it. But yeah, number 100, Star Realms. Serpentine Pattern. I get the next one.
Okay.
My number 99 is Ticket to Ride, New York. Very important. I think Ticket to Ride is an okay game that takes too long to play. I think that Ticket to Ride New York, which is like the 15 to 25 minute version of the game, is...
Sometimes 10 minutes if you play with people who know what they're really doing.
Right. I think that's the best version of Ticket to Ride that I've played.
Yeah.
Gets rid of that time thing where you sort of see what's, you already know what's sort of happening in that early part of the game.
Right.
And then you either, sometimes you can mount a comeback, sure, if the cards come up right, but you sort of have established the game board and the presence early on in the game, and then it's just a tedium of getting to the end. Ticket to Ride New York gets rid of the tedium part and just gives you the part that you're working on, which is that fast who can throw down some trains quick and get their line moving. So Ticket to Ride New York, number 99.
And no difference between New York and London? Same game, or...
I haven't played.
You didn't play Ticket to Ride London?
I haven't played London, so...
It's pretty good.
Maybe that would be here, but you gotta... Well, you gotta play it first to actually make the list. Sorry, that's also a rule on my list. You have to have played the game, alright? No shenanigans with I know I'll like this game.
Yeah, Nathan.
Alright. Number 99, what do you got?
Number 99. Okay, so this made my list. I actually do not even own the board game version of it.
Well, I know what it is.
And that's Gone Sean Clever, or That's Pretty Clever. I could have put the double or double clever on there. Either one. I have played it on the table with the pad. It's a roll and write. It's one of the very heavy roll and write.
Right, but it's like the more Yahtzee-esque one, right? There's no storyline. There's nothing.
Yeah,
there's
total just moving numbers. But I probably play it on my phone once or twice a day. So I had to put it on my list. I'm like, I play it so much, it's like, it's just got to go on the list. If you're looking for that Yahtzee type game where you're just moving numbers, rolling dice, and where you put a dice, it gets you an extra action or gives you a bonus at wherever you put the dice, that's the game. That's the game to get. It's the mechanics of it are really smooth, really easy to work. Yep. So that is my 99.
I still haven't played that one because we haven't had the physical copy here.
That's pretty clever.
All right.
So it's Snake Draft. So we're gonna go number 98. 98. I actually had a different game there. I had to cross it out. I had to put something else in there because it just deserves to be in my top 100. Number 98 is Draftosaurus.
Okay.
So Draftosaurus is a little tiny. I mean, it's like $20. Everybody gets a little board, and you have a bag full of dinosaurs that are different colors, and you draft a handful of them, like 5, 6.
You pull 6 out of the bag for yourself. Yeah. That's knowledge to just you at first. You know what 6 you have. And
I place one, and then we pass.
Yes.
Like
So,
7 Wonders. So,
yeah, with the addendum that one person is like the leader for the round, and they roll a die.
Right.
And that die determines what sort of area you can put your dinosaur onto the board, whereas the person rolling the die doesn't have to adhere to it at all. They just put their dinosaur wherever. Right. So each round you get shafted by random dice rolls, and you get to shaft everybody else with your dice roll.
There's like 6 designers on the game or something across the top of the box, and it's just this little game.
Yeah, it's very small. So you're just drafting out of the pool of dinosaurs. You have restrictions on where and when you can put dinosaurs, basically.
Yeah.
It is super small, super simple. It's very colorful.
Super easy to teach people.
Yes.
If you want to teach people how to draft.
Yes.
That is such an easy game to teach people how to draft. I mean, we taught Erica, Joey, and Roxy how to play it, and they caught on really quick, and they are not board gamers. They are not hobby gamers.
Yep. Sometimes it takes a bit to get people up to speed with like the mechanics of things or how things work. It's not a big deal. It happens to like everybody when you're learning how to play games. So it's great to find a couple of those where you can just... It's very immediate, like what the concept is, because then it applies to other games. If you want to play 7 Wonders, having everybody read all those cards at first and then explain how they're selecting them, a little difficult. But if you pull out Draftosaurus and you go, here's the dinosaurs, choose a colorful dinosaur, you're one step closer, and you take 20 minutes and you've taught them a very like important core concept to a lot of games.
Right. Right.
Is that number 98, right?
That's 98.
All right.
98
so
Draftosaurus.
98 for me is... Hey, That's My Fish.
Yeah, Hey, That's My Fish.
Hey, That's My Fish looks like it should just be a small kid's game.
Yeah.
It's a super, again, colorful game where you put out a bunch of tiles that have fish or just ice on them. You have a small squad of fish
in great poses.
In great poses.
Penguins,
the little models in this game are actually amazing considering.
That game's only $15.
You get like 12 of them for for around $15. You each turn you move one fish to a square on the board, right? Or a hex on the board that you've built.
Yeah, in a straight line.
The one that it was standing on, you pull that one off the board, and now that it's gone, nobody can move through that area. So fish have to move again in a straight line. So you've now made a block where they were, and also a block like where they are now.
Yeah.
The objective is just to get as many fish on those tiles as you can as you pull them off the board.
Right.
Once a penguin's trapped, can't move, can't go anywhere, so it's done for the game.
That's really what you're trying to do.
That's really what you're doing. Is you're playing a bit of
trying to screw a guy over.
Yeah, you're playing a bit of Tron,
yeah.
right? You want to catch them in your wave there and like trap them.
Yeah.
Very small box game.
I mean, originally I think Simon made one that was like this big, and the penguins were a lot bigger. But now
the one I have is from
Fantasy Flight, and now it's tiny.
Yeah, and it's very compact. But like price per like item.
Oh yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah.
Some board games out there are very well. Their designers are mean people.
Yeah.
You take a lot of your money for a very small amount of items in return, and this one packs a lot into a little tiny box.
Yeah.
Some super nice like design on it. Looks like it should be a kid's game, but like if you have a bunch of adults sitting around playing it, the strategy level goes up quite a bit. And, you know, it's fun for anybody in basically any age range. So 98, that's my fish. 97, keeping the party going. Sushi Go Party.
Sushi Go Party.
Sushi Go Party is a draft game. The original Sushi Go, you use just one deck of cards. In Party, you get there is a whole box of various cards, and you basically build a deck every game,
right?
And you draft out of those cards. You're trying to collect, various sets depending on what items are out there.
Change out like the dessert and the
right. There's certain elements that always have to be present to sort of make sure that the game works. So they've worked that out pretty well. I've never seen a combo where I'm like, well, this is just garbage. Like none of this works. That does happen in games. Not in this one. So again, very consistent game. Another small game. Another like $10 to $20 game, which is just sort of rare at this point.
Although it comes in the doofy giant tin.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of putting games in tins because I like them to fit on shelves.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to overlook it on this one because it's a really good game inside the tin. So, number 97, Sushi Go Party.
Sushi Go Party may appear later on my list.
Oh, I've already heard some spoilers.
Okay, so 97. 97's an oldie that we've played. I think we've played it quite a bit. But it's Arctic Scavengers.
Okay.
It's a
deck builder.
It's a deck builder, but it has an extra function at the end of the game where you're playing your cards to go do stuff with your guys. You're looking for stuff and trying to win cards at the end of the round.
Right. There is sort of the component of buying and fighting.
Yeah.
It exists in a lot of games, but typically when you're fighting against a card that's on the table, whereas in this one you're fighting against the other decks.
Right, you're fighting against the other players. So if I have 5 cards and I can play X amount of them towards searching for stuff, scavenging, I hold other cards back. And those cards I might just be bluffing. They might be cards that don't do anything.
Right.
And everybody holds cards back, and then there's a card off a pile, like almost a treasure pile.
Yep.
And everybody's trying. One person knows what that card is.
Right.
And then everybody else is trying to win that card. So you're there's like a poker aspect to it, where you kind of watch the guy who knows what's coming up. Because if he's going to put a bunch of cards towards it, you know it's a really good card.
I don't watch him. He's a liar.
So it's a really good game. It's been around a long time, and there's like a combo box set that you buy now that has the base game and all the expansions.
I don't remember the last time I've actually seen just the base game at this point. It all sort of comes together as one box for the price of one game at this point too, which is great.
So my number 97 is Arctic Scavengers. Now my 96 is, I believe, Phil Walker Harding. And it's a gingerbread house.
Of course it is. It's time to get to polyominoes. You tell people about polyominoes.
So, in Gingerbread House, you're building a little gingerbread house, and you are taking little pieces of gingerbread and putting them up on top of the thing, and whatever you cover up is what you get that round. And as you look down on your house, you can see what everything is. And then you're also winning cards, which is really killing people.
It's luring them into your gingerbread house.
Right, to kill them. To eat them.
To kill them.
Yeah, to eat them, I guess. I guess that's the theme. So like Pinocchio and, whatever show up in the game, and you're trying to win those cards, and you put them under your house, and they're worth victory points at the end.
I wouldn't say winning them. You are like, you're luring them in based off of the candy. So every time you cover a space, you get the candy or whatever goes along with it. But in order to get the people, or to get the fictional characters, you need various candies. So you're collecting those by covering spaces, and then turning those in to bring that person to your gingerbread house. To murder them.
It's a really solid game, and I really enjoy the art in it is great, and then I love, of course, the stacking of the pieces.
Yeah, you should probably just let the people know now about your Tetris fetish in board games.
There will be more of those coming up. Not a lot, but a bunch. Okay.
Not a lot, but a bunch. Excellent. Okay. Is that 96?
That was 96.
That brings me to my number 96 is River Dragons. It's a game by Matago where you are trying to get your character from one side of a river to another, and the way you do that is by plopping planks down onto stones. Now, the way that you get the stones and the planks out there is you have a small set of cards that are the things that you're going to do for your turn. And what you're doing is you're setting those out.
Programming.
You're programming them out in an order. But yours is hidden from everybody else around the table. And you're going to have to go in a turn order to do the things that are on the cards, which means things might have been altered on the board that makes your hand no longer work the way you expected it to. So
it's the Robo Rally function.
Well, yeah. So you're just you're attempting to get yourself basically from the rock you started on to the one opposite on the board. But there's probably somebody that started over there too, and you guys can't really cross each other.
Wait a minute, and when you're setting planks out, you're not allowed to measure.
Yeah.
That's the messed up part.
So one of the fun parts is you have boards, and they're actual physical boards that you're putting out onto the board.
But they're different lengths.
Yeah, they're different lengths, and you only have one of each size.
Yeah.
And so you have to know, or hope you know, the actual right size that you need of a board between two areas, because if you put one in there that's too small and it doesn't stretch across, that board just drops into the river and sinks.
And you lose it.
Yes, and you lose it. But you can pick up other boards, and they don't have to be your own. So you can actually snatch boards from people where they thought, okay, I'm going to walk across this board that I put down in front of me last turn, except you pull it up, and that immediately causes them to throw themselves in the river, thinking they have a board to run there. So there's a lot of resetting in the game where you get halfway across, and then
it's the Frogger aspect where you get to go back to your home base.
Yep, and somebody's usually there to thwart you somewhere along your path. So 96 River Dragons. 95 is On Tour.
Good game.
On Tour is a roll and write. Actually made by the people at BoardGameTables.com.
Yeah.
I only know that because that's just weird. Like, it came out of nowhere when it came out.
I think it was a Kickstarter, but then you could just buy the game off their website.
Yes.
So you go to their website, and it's all board game tables.
And then the small section, which now has like 3 games, I believe. But
by game.
When it first showed up, is there only one, and there's just this random board game there. Which is when we tried it, when they only had the 1 game.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
What you're doing is you're rolling dice and you're flipping cards. You have your own personal board that you're working on. It's a map of America. The cards give you regions in America and specific states to work with. The dice give you a number between 1 and 100.
Yeah.
And you're using the dice as both the lowest value they could be and the highest value. So if there's a 7 and a 9, you have 79 and 97. And you're using the 79 with one of the cards that's out, and you're using the 97 with one of the other cards that's out. And then at the end of the game, what you're trying to do is make the longest route you can from state to state, using numbers starting at a low end and then going as high as you can without ever reducing the number again. So once you've gone up to 15, you can't then cross another state that has 14. You have to have already crossed that one. Otherwise, you have no use for it.
Right.
1 point for every state you cross. The cards have, like I said, a region and then a specific state. If you happen to put a number in that specific state on the turn that it came up, you circled it. That gives you another point. So you're just doing your best to make a viable route through the U.S. with your band that is on tour.
Yeah, that's a good game.
And that's number 95.
All right, my number 95 is Brussels 1893. Well, says polyominoes.
Shocking.
But it's a card management game, but it has a really cool function on the board where you're taking pieces. It has also like a Puerto Rico style thing where when you're picking up cards, you do function. But the cool mechanic of the game is there's this like what'd you call that? Like a compass or whatever, like it's just this, and you lay it down on the map where you place it, and you can only buy things that are this direction, up and over. Anything that's over here, you can't take. And the game is just a fun take on allowing you to screw people over by placing, what they're going to try. They want to get. Okay, well, we have to buy from over here. You're not going to get what you need. I've played that game probably 3 or 4 times. It's a game I would love to get to the table more, and there is a smaller version, I guess, coming out. It's like Brussels 1895 or something. But I guess it's a smaller, like, card-driven game of the version. But that's my number 95. And then we go to number 94. I have one weird thing on my list because I've only played it twice, but I believe it's lower. Later on, Seven Wonders is going to show up. But this game for me is way better than Seven Wonders, and that is Hodari. It is a Civ building game, just like Seven Wonders, where you draft and take turns. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't... My problem with Seven Wonders is basically the science aspect of it.
There's a very viable way to win in Seven Wonders, and if nobody bothers to...
play defense, is what it is.
Yes. Then you just run away with it real early.
Right, because if somebody just collects a bunch of science in Seven Wonders, they're going to win. Their point total is going to be... you're not going to be able to catch them, no matter what you're doing. Whatever your plan is. In Hodari, that isn't in there. And it's streamlined, it looks great, and the more I make these lists, the more it's going to go like this. Hodari, Seven Wonders. Now, Seven Wonders has like 1 million expansions.
Yeah, quite a good one this year.
Yeah, and I played Armada, and I enjoyed Armada. Thought it was okay.
Right.
It was fun.
But doesn't fully correct the problem.
Did not correct the science function.
Hodari, if they go on to make expansions, they've already got that solved by just not having the same
the multiplying table.
Yeah.
So my 94 is Hodari, but I have a feeling that one's going to be moving on up. Okay.
All right, my number 94 is Cosmic Encounter.
Yeah, Cosmic Encounter.
The basics of this game never change, right? You have 5 planets in front of you. On those 5 planets, you have spaceships. Those are acting as defense, but you're going to move those spaceships out to other planets to
land on other planets.
Attempt to conquer those, and you're trying to collect enough other planets to win.
If you
right?
collect, I think it's 5. You score 5 planets.
So everybody's game right in front of them, very basic, very simple. The thing that changes with the game, the thing that makes it interesting, is its variety. Is at the start of every game, you end up with a leader or 2 that
alien
you choose
power.
from. And then each one of those comes with a specific power that you then have to use for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That power can do all sorts of things. There's just an amazing amount of leaders available.
Oh, yeah,
to the point where I've not seen half of them.
Right. My favorite's still Spaceman Spiff. That's the one where if you lose, you get to crash one of your spaceships on that person's planet anyways.
Right.
That's
so it revolves around the fighting, so a lot of the powers have to do with the fighting.
It's a lot of negotiating.
There's also the ability to negotiate, to basically trade planets, or to say, hey, I'm going to take this one, but you can keep your ships, kind of thing.
Right. You help me, and we'll both land on that planet.
Which means you have ones that have negotiation powers, which might alter the way that you think about negotiating with somebody for a game. So just a lot of variety, right? Simple concept to start with. Then there's even levels on the leaders itself where you can say, hey, new players here, we're going to use the green ones. These are the easy powers. Simple, you don't have to think too much about them. You know what they do. There's no real hidden mechanic with them. All the way up to the red, convoluted, how the hell do these two things interact with each other?
And now one of my problems still with Cosmic Encounter, it's not as bad, but it does have the Munchkin effect.
Yeah.
Where when you're playing and one guy has 4 planets, everybody gangs up on that guy.
I mean, yes, but also in competitive games, every game can have someone.
But the difference in Cosmic Encounter compared to Munchkin, the guy who has 4 planets, if he plays it the right way, he can still just win.
Yes.
If he has the right cards in his hand, he's gonna win. You can't, block him.
Right. Number 94 Cosmic Encounter. Number 93 is a role player. Role player is so the theme on this game is really sort of the interesting thing. The game's fun, but the thing that sort of caught us in the first place is that what you're actually doing in the game is you're rolling dice and determining where on a sheet to put them. But that sheet is effectively a stat sheet for a character in a game or an adventure similar to D&D.
Yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons.
So, you have a character type that you're sort of trying to build, right? So if you have, the warrior in the game, you're trying to build a strong character, so he's going to have higher strength and higher constitution.
Yeah, you're going to have a race also.
Right, and these things will determine things like where certain colored dice should probably exist on your board. They don't have to. You can break all of these rules. But, of course, the more you're able to adhere to them,
you score better points.
You score more points. I've played it more with the expansion that also adds in monsters.
Yeah.
Are you basically testing out your character as you're building it?
I actually wouldn't play it without that now.
So I barely remember the game without it at this point. So I sort of lumped that in there as part of role player. We're gonna come across some dice building along the way on my list. This is the first one up. Yeah.
I like role play. Role players, it's higher on my list.
Spoilers.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of the game. It has that Sagrada thing, like where you can put certain dice in certain areas.
Right. I mean, it's all about just
all about the rules of your
the board to like produce the results that you're looking for.
Right. It's good. All right. So my 93, which I think I'm amazed is going to be higher on your list. I'm new to the game. I've played it one time, and we played it the other night. And I'll throw it out there. It's the Murph brothers are the ones who basically I watched them play it, and they love it so much. We finally got a copy and we played it. And guess what? It's great. Number 93 is Abyss. I had not played it until 2 nights ago.
Yep, very recently.
Yeah, very recently. That's a great game. It's a bidding. There's a bidding function to it, but then there's also a little bit of a ticket to ride where you're collecting cards to buy these leader guys who are going to give you powers.
Yes, very hand management.
Yeah.
It's not quite like a poker style.
Yeah.
With your hand, but there is a hint of bluffing.
Yeah.
In there, depending on how hard you're willing to bid on certain cards and how well you know the table's ability to remember your cards versus how well you can play them.
Right.
So that you can force them to spend too much early so that they don't have enough resources later to affect the game.
Right, because there's a drafting function where the one guy's going, but he doesn't get a buy first. It goes, he gets to select, but you buy, I buy, then they get to go. Right. So you're allowed to buy with pearls the cards. Problem is, the price every time a card gets taken goes up. So the first guy who selects a card pays 1 pearl. So when you're looking at the table, and you can see their little see-through shell with the pearls in it, if I see he only has 1 pearl, and if he passes for some reason, I'm going to buy with 1 pearl. Because then when it gets back around, he can't buy. Love that game. Loved it.
Yeah, I'll have more to say about it later.
I'm amazed it's higher on yours. So okay,
You're amazed it's higher on mine?
I am, because I thought I liked it better than you.
No.
Okay.
No, so, you did not.
Okay, so yeah, number 93 for me is Abyss. And then go to 92. 92 is... There's a couple of games that did not make my top 100 that I am amazed didn't make my top 100. But 92 is San Juan, which is the card-based version of Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And it's just super solid.
It's a card builder. It's a deck builder, engine builder.
Right. And then there's cards on the table just like Puerto Rico, and I take the card, and I get to do the cool function, the extra function.
Yeah.
And then everybody else gets the minor function of the card.
Yeah, so these sort of games have become more popular as dice games more recently, right?
Yeah.
Where in most of the games what you're doing is you're rolling dice, and then your cards in front of you are affected differently when it's your turn.
Right.
In Puerto Rico...
San Juan.
And San Juan.
And Puerto Rico, yeah. I like San Juan because it's easier to get to the table.
You're not rolling the dice, you're just picking one of the available abilities that's out there. And of course, on your turn, when you're doing it for you, it's a much stronger version of what it does. Right. Which does a few things. One, you can never fully block somebody.
Right.
Because they still get some use out of the thing. But it can be devastating at the same time. Right. When you pick up, that thing where it's like, oh, they want to buy 2 items, build 2 things this turn. And you're like, nope.
Nope, I'm going to buy, and I'm only going to build 1.
Just cause.
Just cause. Yeah. So my number 92 is San. It's also super. I believe it's super cheap. It's like $20-25.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my games early on in the list
Are the cheaper
so far,
smaller.
and will continue for a while, I think, is a lot of stuff that was I like big, like heavy games, right? And so it's going to be lighter games on the back end, but money is a factor, like
right. And for the dollars you spend,
right,
for San Juan,
the amount of
you're going to get a lot of
enjoyability
gameplay
and replayability out of it is very high. Is that is number 92?
That's 92.
So 92 on mine. I have played a grand total of one time.
One
so
time?
Far.
Is it Abyss?
We're not there yet.
Not there yet, okay.
No, it is Deep Blue.
Oh, yeah, Deep Blue.
Deep Blue is a press your luck game that allows you to take a lot of the luck pressing out of it if you're having a bad day.
Right.
So the idea is you're trying to set yourself up to go on all these salvage missions, be it as the leader who's actually controlling it, or at least a person who's participating.
Right.
Which means you don't really have the dice in your hand, but you're along for the ride.
Right. You move your ship to the treasure section, and if the guy who's at your space with you dives,
right, you're still going.
You have the option to go dive.
So the way that you dive in the game is by pulling gems out of a bag, and there's basically good colored gems and bad colored gems. The good ones give you more resources. The bad ones either drown you or get you eaten by monsters, basically.
I don't know how many times in that game I would just go, I'm going to keep going.
I really like Press Your Luck games. I'll have more of them on my list. But for some reason, I'm never that lucky at Press Your Luck games. I have a terrible time at I never win them. But they're still fun. And this is the only one, really, that allows you to actually sort of keep going, like keep trying, but like realize that you're just having bad luck and you can build against it. You can stack up a lot of cards to play against the gems as they come out to prevent you from being kicked out of the round.
Here's the thing about Press Your Luck games. Our table, where we play, we are highly competitive. We don't like to lose. And we have people who they just don't care. They don't care if they win or they lose. They just want to have a fun time or whatever. With Press Your Luck games, it's the one type of game where it doesn't affect me if I lose because it's Press Your Luck. Because if I lost, it wasn't because somebody beat me. I beat myself, probably. I kept drawing, I kept pushing, and I ended up losing. I busted or whatever in, say, Quacks or Deep Sea Adventure or any other Press Your Luck game. Just like Deep Sea.
Deep Blue.
Yeah, Deep Blue. I get there and I want to keep drawing from the bag. I think I'm lucky enough that this will be the time. I'm gonna win this time. And then that never happens.
Now I like games that are somewhat Press Your Luck. I'm a big poker person, and that's like it fits, right? But with these games, it's more random usually. This one takes a little bit of that random out of there, which is just, I don't know. It's like the X factor that's missing in some of the other ones,
right?
But it's also only 92, and there are more to come. So it's an interesting concept. We'll see if it stays on the list over time.
Right.
Because we got to get it back on the table.
And it's Days of Wonder. It looks great.
In its Days of Wonder, it looks great. And my number 91, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it already came up on this list. Number 91, Draftosaurus.
Yeah, Draftosaurus.
Again, it's drafting. Instead of doing cards or dice, as in most games, in this one, it's little meeples that are dinosaur-shaped. Very colorful, very compact, very low price. We talked about it already. We're not going to go through all of that again, but 91.
Okay, so the last one on this 10 will be my 91, which is Shadowhunters, which is a
social deduction,
but you go to different sections on the board, and it allows you to attack people.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to be trying to figure out who your teammate is, although I don't ever really do that.
Yeah, so this is a game that's best played at a higher player count.
Yeah, the more players the better.
And you have 3 sort of factions: good guys, bad guys, and neutral. Good guys need to beat the bad guys need to beat the good guys. Neutral characters can have a few different objectives, so they're kind of your wild card while they're out there.
Right.
And you're using cards to help deduce who's on your team and who isn't.
And while you do that, you injure people. And
then you're using other cards that are item cards to either fortify yourself against attacks or attack other people. But generally, attacking also tells you who's on.
Right. This will only
eventually.
If you're light or dark or whatever, and I attack you, and this item only does damage to light. If you take damage, I know you're light.
Right.
So, but yeah. So at my number 91, it's super solid. Kind of semi co-op because you're working with somebody at the table. Is Shadowhunters.
I jumped in there to talk about that one a bit because it's been a long time since I played it. It's a really solid game. I'll just say right now, it's not on my list, mostly because it's been so long I've forgotten about it. That's what happens when you play
It's right there.
a couple hundred games a year.
It's right there.
A couple hundred different games a year. I'm not talking about replays. I'm talking about unique games. It just There's too many to keep track of. Hence why these lists are... This is my top 100 of January 24th.
I went back and I looked. Games made in 2019. I played 311.
And I haven't played quite as many, but I'm sure I'm not that far behind. At least 200 plus.
Yeah. So a lot of times we get a game one time. If we keep it on the shelf, it's a game where we're like, we hope we're going to play that again. Other than that, it just goes on a big pile over here, and we just give games away to people.
All right, well, that concludes
the first 10.
100 through 91, the first 10 of the top 100 games.
Of all time.
Of all time, of the day we made the lists.
Yeah.
So, we'll catch you next time.
Okay.